Kudos, Scott Lobdell. Superman issue 28 is the first Superman story that I feel like I've contained in my mind for a while now. I mean, it's good to see that Superman stories are finally picking up. Granted, this Superman is taking a long time for me to get used to and accept. Lord knows I'm praying at some point we get another reboot of the DC Universe as soon as the Siegel and Schuster family either get thrown out of court and the supreme judge of wherever says you are never allowed to go to court again against the DC Comics Incorporated or Enterprise, whatever they're called. But until then, I'm guessing we're stuck with this guy. Maybe even after that too. I'm hoping at some point, maybe when I'm an old man, they'll reboot it and then I'll get to enjoy Superman right before I pass on to the next life, where I'll be reading comics in comic frontline heaven. But anyway, till then though, we have this Superman. Yeah, so I guess we might as well just live with it. I've already dropped Superboy anyway. But anyway, Lois Lane still has a piece of those powers that she got from the 13, which were infected by Brainiac. So she still has those psychic powers. And actually, there's a point in this book here where Superman... Well, let's go to the beginning. Let's start from the middle and go to the beginning. Turns out, Jimmy Olsen is not happy, you know, being all rich and famous and whatnot. So he wants to bunk in with Clark again. He says, of course. And of course, Jimmy gives him the first hug of 3. You're going to see 3 hugs in this book. Then Cat Grant shows up and tells Clark about what Morgan Edge offered them. You know, he offered, how much? Oh, it says later on. He offers $13 million to Clark and Cat to sell the Daily Planet and Morgan Edge, the Cat-Clark-Ropolis. But before that, we also get a little bit more insight into the Tower. Because Governor Sam Lane, or Senator Sam Lane, gets a visit from somebody. We don't know who exactly he is, but he's like, you can kill me, but if you do that, you won't know anything about the Tower. And that's where they leave you off. There's nothing else there. But Clark, you know, Cat's hoping Clark's like, yeah, let's sell. And Clark's like, no. You finally gave me, you know, I didn't want to do the website. You finally gave me something to believe in, and I don't think we should sell. And then comes the second hug. But then Jimmy says something very interesting. Usually, people don't want to buy a company unless they want to shut you down, unless they think you're too close to a story that they don't want out. So this might be the beginning of the end of Morgan Edge, and I pray, because I'll be honest with you guys, I miss the Daily Planet. I miss Perry White owning the Daily Planet and, you know, running the Daily Planet without Morgan Edge up his bunghole. So Clark's gonna go do some investigating about the Tower. He's, you know, investigating. Then he sees Lois, and this is where you get that hint of, does Lois remember Clark's Superman, or is there just this thing she has for Clark and she's not telling? But you get the third hug here, where Clark knows about what happened to Lois at the beginning of the issue, and he wants to make sure she's okay, and he doesn't know why she's hugging him. He's like, okay, and she just walks off. But I just get the feeling that Lois knows something or feels something that we're not knowing, you know, we're not getting a hint of yet. Look, if we're going to have to get stuck in this new DCU, at least try to make it as close to the old DCU as possible, right? Starfire gets involved because the person who got locked up, who told Sam Lane he'll tell him about the Tower, Superman shows up looking for information about the Tower, and then at the same time Starfire does, because she wants to end him or strike him down, so the planet will live to see it tomorrow. And that's where we're left off. Next issue, Starfire versus Superman. Interesting concept. I'm very interested in hearing about the Tower, knowing what that is. This was an interesting book. Like I said, I actually retained a lot of the story here, which is interesting because, I mean, I retained other Superman stories that have happened, a couple like the Return of Krypton or Return to Krypton, a few other things here and there, but I feel like a lot of the stories, while I remember them now, I'm going to forget them by this time next year. This story actually has something that I feel like if it's done right, I'll remember it down the line as well. I mean, there have been a lot of stories for Superman pre-New 52 also that I still say were one of those forgettable story arcs. But like the Dominus story back in the late 90s, early 2000s, I feel like I remember that. War of Worlds, I remember that. There were a lot of big story arcs I remember. Right now I feel like Superman's getting the, okay, we're going to give him regular story arcs in his books, and then that's it. So I'm hoping that maybe they'll build into some type of a big Superman event in the times to come. I mean, we got Batman Eternal coming out, a weekly Bat series that's going to be huge for the Bat books. I'm hoping at some point the DC Universe realizes we're not only Batman-centric, you know, and they actually focus on other superheroes other than Batman, like Superman, and maybe Superman will get some type of a big event. Because I'm telling you guys, I mean, we are getting Superman Doomsday soon, so maybe that'll be his first big event, and if that does well, we'll get bigger ones. But if Batman gets Eternal, why can't Superman get something also? Not a weekly series, but something. So 3 out of 5 stars, average read, but something I definitely enjoyed. Maybe 3.5 out of 5 stars, to be fair. Something I actually retained. With that, that's it for this review, guys. Don't forget to check out Comic Related and ComicFrontline.com. Together, we are your #1 source for comic-related news, reviews, and a whole bunch more. If you haven't already subscribed to Comic Frontline, please do. This way, we're in your sub box, and you don't miss out on a single video. We got tons of series coming up, coming out, and going on as we speak. Also, feel free to comment below your thoughts on Superman. If you're reading it, if you're not reading it, why you're not reading it, why you are reading it, what your thoughts are. If I left out any points that you'd like to point out, because I do that. I mean, I do leave out things, so this way I give you guys a chance to actually read the book yourselves. I leave out a ton of dialogue also. So feel free to comment below. Until next time, everybody, take care, keep reading, keep collecting, and I will see you guys in the next review.